Today we are talking about 10 games that need PS5, Xbox Series X, Switch 2 physical releases. Games that are absolute classics but are languishing in the digital wasteland. We got to bring them bad boys to the physical space. Lone, I'll let you kick it off with your first game that you need a physical copy of, my friend.
So it kind of shocks me this never got a physical copy, but Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader.
Oh
Um,
wow.
Alcat funded both their previous titles to get physicals, so Kingmaker and Wrath of the Righteous. What kind of makes me sad is that obviously Warhammer doesn't really get all that many games. It's only up until recently that we've really seen a ton of support for the IP. But yeah, they for some reason opted to not go with physical, and the only reason I can think of why is, well, two. Obviously, physicals are a dying way of selling a product, but Alcat don't release very polished day one products. Unfortunately, both of Wrath of the Righteous and Kingmaker are not going to be very good to play down the line, disc wise,
Right.
when the internet gets shut off. So I
Yeah.
don't really blame them, if I'm being honest. But that's one I would really, really, really want to see. That's why I've chosen it as my first one.
Yeah. I'm gonna go in so mine is one that's never gonna happen. It never can happen at this point. And that is for Rollerdrome. And this is never gonna happen because the studio no longer exists. Total bummer. When Take Two started cutting shit and during the round of never-ending layoffs in 2024, unfortunately, Roll 7, the studio got completely axed. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Rollerdrome is no longer even available for purchase
Oh,
digitally.
really?
Yeah. I could be wrong on that. You correct me in
I
the
can quickly have a
comments.
look.
Yeah, but I don't think you can even purchase it digitally anymore, which is absolutely fucking crazy. The game is fantastic. Tony Hawk meets Max Payne. It's so unbelievably fun, and it's such a bummer that it will, it's just gone. Like it will never be preserved now that the studio is under and there was no physical copy that was printed. So this is more of a wish one, but yeah,
Holy shit, it has been delisted.
you
That's
can't buy it at all, right?
insane. It's not even on the store to like show. Has it been pulled from my library?
Did you download it?
I mean, I should have. I think I purchased it.
It's crazy, man. It's such a bummer
Yeah,
because I
I
got
got
it.
it.
You do?
Show install. Not currently available. Yikes.
Wild, dude. It's so wild. And that's the thing, like, we talk about the whole physical versus digital and all that. It's like, man, I know it's tough. I know it's an extra bit of money that you're having to put up front, but man, if you can get your game on a disc, and sure, discs rot, but like, yeah, 500 years from now, our discs will rot. That we can worry about it then. But like, there are you see situations like this far too often where games are just great games like Rollerdrome. And this is a single player, like there's no multiplayer. This should not have vanished and it is completely gone. It's really sad. So Rollerdrome would be my first one.
Right, well, my second one is a series that actually, at one point in its life cycle, did receive physicals. The very early 360 games. That's Football Manager. We had free releases of physicals, and then they stopped printing the game on consoles altogether. And then it was only about, I think it was either Football Manager 2019 or 2020, one of those two, that was where it brought it back to consoles. And we saw it paired with Game Pass as day one, as it has done every subsequent year after that, barring this year, as the game was just cancelled as they're moving to a new engine. But yeah, man, like it's so unfortunate that you're gonna have instances like this where it's a year to buy the game. Obviously, you keep it unless they forcefully pull it from your digital libraries, which they always have the right to do that, as they've done with some games. But that's it. You just get a year with that roster, essentially, of players. And that may have been, for instance, you look back in like 10 years' time, that may have been your favorite era of that sport.
Right.
And you're never going to be able to unless you're on PC. And this is why it doesn't bother PC players because they can mod it. They can
Yeah.
they've got things in the current Football Manager 2024 where it's classic databases from like 1970, 1980 and stuff like that. So it doesn't bother them because they're able to tinker with that stuff. But that's where they have the advantages where console players don't. We have a year, and it's not, and that's just not a dig against Football Manager. That's you have NBA and stuff, but the difference is with NBA they at least give you that physical. So Football Manager didn't with its return. They chose to take that Game Pass money and never offer a physical, unfortunately. And they will
Yeah, it's
never get
such a bummer.
physicals because that requires them to relicense it, and you don't. There's never going to be a sports game in time where they go back and relicense. Here's a 2020 football game, a 20 like NBA 2020. Like that's never happening ever again.
Never. Yeah, it's such a bummer too, dude, because like even I was wanting to play NFL 2K5 the other night, which I do have physical copies for, but I just didn't want to hook up my PS2 or my fat PS3 or the 360. Like, I don't want to go through all the hassle hooking everything up. And it's that is the one very compelling thing about the PC space. Where it's like, I could just emulate this bad boy and have it running in 2 seconds. But yeah. So my third game on the docket is going to be one that is criminal that there's not a physical release coming from the literal most fucking profitable, I believe, the biggest company on the planet, Microsoft, Hi-Fi Rush. This is one of the best games in recent years. It is the art style, and that's the thing too, Loon. The damn physical copy would look so good on a shelf. You know that those colors would pop. You'd see the chai and 808, and they'd have the like. It would just be such a happy piece of physical media in your collection to look at. I love. I'm looking just at some of the games over here. Like it's a lot of whites and blacks and grays, the spine of them, and it's just boring. But then you'll see something like a Pepper Grinder or a Baldur's Gate 3 or for like a Cyberpunk over there or Indica, where it's like that spine's it's got a cool color to it, a cool neon. It's just I really appreciate having a little bit of spice in your rotation when you're looking at your shelves. So I know Hi-Fi Rush would deliver in spades in that element, and plus, just such a good game. And they were supposed to get a physical release through limited run games, but I have no idea. I guess after Microsoft sold Tango to Krafton, I believe,
Yep.
I think everything went up in smoke.
Yeah, it kind of because they obviously partnered with Microsoft, so they're like, oh yeah, we'll definitely be getting a physical with them, and then that whole debacle happened of them selling it, and it's just like, oh, I guess not then, because I don't see Crafton giving a crap about physical.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Absolutely absurd. But yeah, Hi-Fi Rush got to shout that one out. Fantastic video game. Should have got a physical.
Right, me next, right?
Yes, sir.
Gotta quickly tab, quick. Right. So the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters were announced finally for Xbox. I think they came last year, if I'm not mistaken, after being available elsewhere on PlayStation. How long has that been out? Do you know? On PlayStation, a couple of years, right?
Few years, yeah.
Yeah, and they finally made their way over. Unfortunately, we didn't get the physical, and that really stings because it would have been so awesome to have all of them side by side on a shelf. Solely speaking, obviously for me, being a
Yeah.
greedy physical collector, but yeah, I do hope that like limited run or something picks it up to give it a physical print because it's the thing that would sell a ton, and I know it will sell a ton even on Xbox because the amount of orders that they got for the Persona games was astronomical. When you're looking at like limited run and stuff, and you see how many times like the game gets wish listed and stuff like that, and then when I got my copy and stuff, it gives you like the numbered. This is your number of, and it was it breached the thousands, so clearly enough people want it.
Yeah.
So I would love for them to hopefully one day go to limited run and give them the old pixel remasters and have that on my shelf.
I do think y'all will be getting, I don't know about the Pixel remasters, but I would assume y'all will be getting the physicals for like Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy 7. Now that 7 was just announced recently for Switch 2, I would assume Xbox gets that announcement in June as well.
I know we're gonna get the game. I think the remake's heavily likely to drop this year. With the rumors, um, I don't know if we'll get a physical though. I struggle to see it because Square just wants the biggest excuse to cut costs. So if they can just fully digital release that, which will make me laugh because Crisis Core thing got a physical print and Stranger of Paradise got a physical print. It's like, man, if you actually skip Seven's remake in a physical print, that's criminal.
It could be day one Game Pass too.
Exactly, and
I
that
could
would
see
fall,
that
and that would
where
give them a very, very easy excuse to be like, "Well, it's day one Game Pass, guys. We're giving you someone."
exactly.
It's like,
Yeah.
don't
They pay
football
100
manager
mil.
me, man. I'm sick of it.
Yeah, if they pay 100 mil to get it over there on Game Pass, Square's like shit, we'll ride this out to the bank. All right, so my next one up is actually going to be a day one Game Pass title that I played over there on the old Xbox, and that is Immortality. This is from Sam Barlow, creator of Her Story, and then he kind of has a expertise in this FMV space at this point, and I would just really like to see this in some sort of cool ass like VHS, like just really lean into it with a ultra special edition where you got the scripts lined out, or like I think they could get really cool with a
Mm.
special edition version of Immortality because it's three separate films that you're piecing together. So I don't know exactly, maybe three different. I don't know how exactly you would do it in the most creative way, but something where you see three different films. And obviously, you're not going to put a individual disc in each of the boxes, but yeah, I think there could be some cool special edition features for an Immortality release just based on the actual concept of the game. So yeah, man, that was a really really special experience, and it's a bummer that there is no physical copy of that bad boy.
I'd be worrying for a second there because the I've not played it, so you turn and thankfully you were like, oh, it's like pixelated kind of thing, like stylized VHS kind of quality. Because that opening thing is that quality, and then it was like, oh, and then it turned to her as a character. It's like, oh, thank God. I thought it was
Yeah,
like
no.
giving. I was like, oh no.
No, it's mostly all in modern day like visual aesthetics,
Yeah.
but it's that's a game, boy. That is a interesting motherfucker. That they do some shit in that game that I won't spoil, but very very shocking.
Right. Well, you dinged Microsoft for their poor, poor, poor choices as to not giving physicals. How the hell did we launch this year? And the big RPG that they decide to plop out, being avowed not launch with a physical,
Right,
it is
yeah.
baffling. It is absolutely baffling. Um, and it's kind of the worrying precedence that I think they're setting is I don't think they have really any interest moving forward in preserving media. I think they've gone down that route. Not enough people came over to show that they cared. Maybe is
Yeah.
what it was, and just that what they were hoping for was scooping people up who are very very nostalgia driven. But it's like, dude, you're trying to basically then scoop up Nintendo players. They're not going to go from Nintendo to you with
Yeah.
your stigma of being heavily DRM. So It's
It's
kind of
I
baffling. I know it's a big game. It came in at around 90-ish gigabytes as a version 1.0, and it's obviously
that is
expanded
true.
since then. So it would have required them if they wanted everything on disk to either two disk print it or for the first time ever license out a Sony patented like
Yeah.
whatever their disk that they use to have
Yeah.
bigger things, but they wouldn't do that. So
I I didn't even think about this. It's going to be really interesting to see if Outer Worlds 2 launches physically because it's coming to PS5 day one. And so like are they going to, since PS5 physical games still sell pretty damn well,
I
are they
think
going?
that will be one of the outliers. It's kind of like if Starfield ever goes over, that'll get a physical print.
Yeah,
Um, Elder Scrolls 6, for instance, that is
right.
something that you probably would get a physical print of, even if you're over on Xbox. I think they would still print that physically out of. It's kind of an expectation at that point. It would be very strange to be. No, that's a fully digital game now. That would be a very
Right.
weird turn.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see, man.
Because Doom's
The
getting
next,
physical this
yep,
this year.
Doom is, Indiana Jones is, but I think Indiana Jones is still a coaster on PlayStation, unfortunately. That's why I'm not picking it up. So, next up on my list is going to be the only Supergiant game that never got a physical release, and that, my friends, is Pyre. I think this is I just I like this more than Hades. I know that's gonna sound crazy to people, but I adore this video game and I just want it in my collection. It's probably the second or third best sports video game I've ever played in my friggin' life. It is
Damn, that is
fantastic.
gleaming praise.
Dude, real shit. Like I would say under NFL 2K5 and under it might just be under NFL 2K5, not including wrestling in with that, but like which I guess you could throw because Pyre is not like some sort of simulation sports game at all. But um, yeah, I mean, under NFL 2K5, and that's about it. This is so fun. And to
Hmm.
create a sports game with a story that you care that much about, like, yeah, I just need that. I need that sitting on my shelf desperately. And I don't know. Maybe it will one day. Maybe they do like a super giant bundle or some shit. I wouldn't be too shocked to see that. I remember they did an Annapurna
Yeah,
bundle with limited run. I
yeah, I
wouldn't be
could
too
see that.
shocked to see him. Yeah.
I could see that.
All right. What you got up next for me, my friend?
Right, this is my final one, and I'm hoping that you put out my review of this game beforehand, so it doesn't spoil. But Vagrus, the Riven Realms, um, recently launched on consoles everywhere: Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, and I'm very early in. But like I said, it just feels like it genuinely does feel like pillars in a sandbox, which is awesome. The narrative that's being written is phenomenal. The characters are interesting. The lore is really compelling. The combat is a little bit is probably its weakest aspect, but it functions. So, but I would love to see games like this because I don't think we got because Battle Brothers never got a physical. War Tales also never got a physical. Like none of these genres ever get physicals, and it's so sad. Because once they
Yeah.
get yanked from digital storefronts, like they didn't sell well to begin with. So if anybody like 10 years down the line turns around and goes, "Oh, did you play Vagrus?" and then you go and look for it on the storefront and it's been yanked, unlucky.
Yeah. And that's another one that the art style would look so sick on a
Yeah,
box, man. I could see that kind of sandy sort of aesthetic and yeah, man, that would look, and that I don't know what the creature is called on the front of it, but it's just a sick looking weird ass little creature. I'd love to see that on box art. Well, we're down to my final pick, going back to Game Pass, and that is for Dungeons of Hinterberg. It was a think my second or third favorite game of 2024. I adored this thing. It's like a Persona meets Persona meets Zelda to lesser extent on both ends. Like it's not full on Persona or full on Zelda, but it's like a scaled back version of that where you got dungeon crawling by day and social sim systems by night, and it's a cool, cute, charming, fun game with excellent puzzle solving. I think the puzzle design in that game is so good. And it's another one where it's like, I just want this thing preserved. I don't want to run into a situation like we've talked about 100 times where one day we flip on our Xbox and, oh, Rollerdrome is no longer there. You flip on your PlayStation and, oh, this football manager game is no longer there. Yeah. So I'd like to be able to play this for years to come because it is a fantastic video game.
Now, to spice it up with the final
Oh
thing,
no.
if you could only have one,
Ooh.
and that is it. So the gods came, the gaming gods came down from their throne and said, "All right, we heard your 5 requests. You can only have one. The rest remain digital." And I was gonna even go even harder and be like, "And I will pull them from the storefronts," but I won't.
Okay,
um,
well, if you're not doing that, then it makes the easy answer for me, Rollerdrome, because it's the only one that has been pulled. So it's like
okay, well we'll
if
spice
I
it up then. The rest of them disappear out from being
okay.
purchased. Then you answered that way too
Ooh.
easy. That's unacceptable.
I would have to go Pyre. Yeah, I'd have to go Pyre. I mean, it's just too good. And that's the thing as well, Loon, where it's too old. And I get that worry in my gut where it's like this thing it's been quite some years since we've seen this game
Yeah,
release. And
8 years, right?
yeah. And so while
Crazy.
I can be hopeful for a super giant collection, I feel like it's the most iffy on the list of ever getting a physical print run. So yeah, I'm gonna go Pyre.
I hate that I've asked this question because it hurts.
Which
Right,
of
Football
yours?
Manager can get scratched out because that happens anyway, so it doesn't feel like as big of a sting. I'm sorry, Vegas, you're amazing, but there's plenty of other games that kind of do what you do. As much as I love you,
Yeah.
Avowed burned me, so I'll burn it back. And I never thought I'd live to see the day where Final Fantasy 1 to 6 were ever going to be on a console, so it doesn't really bother me if that was to disappear. So I'm going to go Rogue Trader, because
Rogue
anything
Trader.
Warhammer related has to be preserved for the Emperor of Mankind.
Yeah, and it's nice to have those spines, man. I know it's a weird thing, but like I want to go and grab RE2, RE3 so it can go along with RE4, RE7, and RE8.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to have those spines. We're weirdos. We get it.
Yep. And it's also, you can't make it out. Well, you kind of can. That's why my method of organization is so skew-if. And it's because I do that, where I keep every numbered entry side by side, alphabetically.
Yeah, that's sick,
So I
man.
like
That's
seeing stuff like where you turn around and go, yeah, for Resident Evil 5 on the 360, it never obviously. I think it did get a physical, maybe,
it
for
didn't on
newer platforms.
Xbox.
Sorry?
It didn't get a physical release on Xbox.
No, I said I think it did, but I don't own it.
Oh,
But I'm saying for like when you're looking at like other stuff, so, like Dragon Age Origins is a better example where that never got a
yeah.
forwarded thing. So you can see them next to each other all the way to Veilguard.
If we do a part two of this video, that'd be a good one. A Dragon Age collection. That'd be nice to see on modern systems. Like we got with the Mass Effect, the Legendary Edition. It'd be
Mm.
great to get a bio
Well, that
or
could be a video all in itself. What collections should
true.
be made? There you
The content wheels are still spinning.
go.
We appreciate y'all for tuning in, guys. And yeah, let us know down in the comments below which video game would you pick out of the millions of digital games that are not available physically? Which would you pick to preserve on your shelves and put on a shrine for the world to see? Let us know in the comments below. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. This is Game and Ramble, and we shall see you very soon. Goodbye.
See you later.